Hey everybody, this is Dark Guardsman, and we're back with another Talk of the Day with a Tip of the Day. So this one we're going to talk about power levels and how they are pretty much meaningless when used in most contexts. Now when I'm talking about with a power level, I'm not talking about energy systems, I'm not talking about power creep, I'm not talking about power scale and everything else. Those do apply within this category, but they're not the focus of it. When I'm talking about power level, I'm talking about metrics, measurements, things that are used to basically compare systems and say that one is better than the other without actually looking into detail. Now this, you can find hundreds of examples of this, and many different people from many different backgrounds and industries doing this argument where they fanboy one system over another, and they will try to pick out things that make their system better or make an argument for why they use something else or why use something different. This can be applied to anything. I mean, I've seen this argument in Minecraft itself, I've seen this argument in the gaming world, I've seen this argument in the hardware world, where people will compare different systems like consoles, PCs, parts, will say that their computer is better than somebody else's, will say their game is better than somebody else's, and we'll go on and on and on and on and on. And they'll use a variety of different metrics. And for those who don't know what a metric is pretty much where you take data and you boil it down into a useful measurement. So say you were like collecting rainwater every single day, and the individual measurement of rainwater is important and useful, but what you want to actually do with that is turn that into some kind of average. Like I'm getting like 0.1 water per minute or hour per day or per inch or some kind of something useful. And you'll see these metrics be created for everything, like how much battery percentage usage am I using per hour, how many apps are running, how much items can I build or compress or create or destroy, how often does a player get through this area of the map, and everything else. So you get these metrics, but the metrics are in themselves just pretty much a summary of the data. There's something that's useful, but the problem is that people will take this and they'll go, oh, this is a really cool metric. This shows that my system is running in so much time of doing this and that. And they'll take that and they'll then go use that for marketing, they'll go use that for promotion, which is a cool, okay thing. You need to be able to market your stuff. But then they'll go, well, my system is better than somebody else's based on that metric. And they'll not actually look into why that metric is meaningful, why that metric actually has the meaning on the system, and to compare different systems. So I can have system A and I can have system B. System A can run some kind of process in 5 milliseconds, and system B does it in 2 milliseconds. Both do a pretty good job, both are decent softwares, but the millisecond times are different for different reasons. System A could have a lot more features and could do a lot more work, making it actually a really useful system. And System B could just be a simplified, narrowed down focused software. Both are useful, both have their uses, are used by probably even two different groups doing two different things. Say we were comparing build servers and we had build server A was a nice big enterprise level software. It runs slower, but then it offers a ton of more features, where System B is maybe a hobbyist software that runs a lot faster because it doesn't have the features and all the bulk and overhead, but then it's a limited down and not doing much. So what you've done is you've taken a metric of how fast it runs and applied it to both systems without actually looking into depth of why the systems are different, why they run. And this same concept is applied to everything. I've seen it done from different things, consoles, etc., as I've already said, and it applies to modding in general, and developers and people who are designing and marketing and whatever will focus down on the wrong things, and they won't give these metrics meaning. So I've seen developers argue in Discord over things, and they'll be like, okay, RF power system is better than IC2, and they'll list all the reasons and all the metrics and be like, oh, I can move this much power, I can move that much power, I can power this many number of machines with this generator, and back and forth. Yet those two systems are completely different from each other. And this is another example of where the metrics kind of fall off. What actually is meaningful, because that might be the more useful thing out of this, ignoring like all the metrics and stuff, since kind of, I must say the examples did a good job saying why they're meaningless. What is actually useful is the metrics that describe the player enjoyment. Did the player have fun playing the mod? Did the player have a good time? Did they play it for a long or short period of time? Did you hit your expectation? Because this is another thing as well. The amount of playtime is another metric that is only useful in the meaning or context that you're applying it. So what you're looking at for something that's useful is enjoyment. And did it meet the goal of what you're doing? So you may have some kind of goal that I want a user to enjoy my mod for 5 minutes. And if the user enjoyed the mod for 5 minutes, cool. If they enjoyed it longer, amazing. But if they enjoyed it for 3 seconds, well, maybe there's something wrong. Maybe you need to look at that metric and improve your mod or figure out why they didn't like your thing. And that's a better metric to start using it. Then you can actually compare mods. Did more people enjoy mod A versus B? So on and so on. And you can apply these metrics to different things. And then you could take all the previous metrics that we mentioned, like CPU, RAM, etc., and start applying them to the enjoyment factor, applying them to different parts of it. Now, if you're, say, for example, looking at your mod and you're taking a metric and going, well, my GUI opens slower and is causing some enjoyment problems, then you could start taking that metric and applying it to your mod and going, hey, if I can get the GUI to open faster, then players would enjoy it more. Or if I can tweak this setting just right to make the usability better, players will enjoy it more. These are where the metrics actually start to have meaning. When you start taking metrics out of that context, out of the actual usefulness of them, and saying my machine is 5% better than somebody else's, cool. But what's that actually mean? Completely meaningless. Anyways, I'll go ahead and leave you here, and I'll be back with more of these and more content and everything else.